Hi, and welcome to the Heuristics podcast. This is Kobe Ben Melech. What is a smartphone? A smartphone is your imaginary friend. You take it to see every part of your life, even the most private of moments. And isn't your friend charming? So smart, answering all your questions. What doesn't your friend know? The best restaurants, what's going on halfway across the world, the fastest route to work, even the name of the actor from that 80s movie you once saw, but now his face is all carved up and he's kind of a blowhard conservative. Your friend really is the coolest. You just can't get enough of your friend. What's more, your friend rarely asks for your attention. Well, not in any annoying ways, anyway. Your friend is very modest, you see. A little tap on the leg here, a ring of the doorbell there. It's fine. You take your friend everywhere. And generous, too. Your friend lets you know how everyone you've ever met is doing, including the people you briefly spoke to 15 years ago. Your friend cares, even though we don't have to. Sometimes, though, your friend butts in on important stuff, like playtime with the kids, or a first date with the possible love of your life. The thing is, your friend always has something funny or informative to say. And why should you keep your friend waiting? Even though, when you think about it, a lot of the time your friend says some really pointless stuff. If you don't mind me saying, you become more antsy since you two became friends. You know, obsessively checking in on your friend, even though your friend was quiet. I even heard that sometimes your friend is only pretending to like you, just so your friend can buy things you don't need with your credit card. But if that's true, then is your friend even your friend? Perhaps it's time to look at your friend differently. Perhaps it's time to look very closely at what your friend, my friend, is up to. Perhaps it's time to set some boundaries on our friendship before there's nothing left of us to offer. I hope you're relishing the irony while you're listening on your smartphone. Believe me, I'm kind of enjoying it. But there need not be any dissonance rattling around in your head at this moment. Smartphones are powerful and useful tools. They just need not be on some holy pedestal. And if that wasn't good enough to clear away the confusion for you, as George Carlin once said in one of his comedy specials, you're just going to have to figure that shit out on your own. To help me think through our relationship with our smartphones, I spoke with Meron Eren. You don't know him, but in a way, you should. That is because Meron doesn't own a smartphone, despite running a business and being a father of 5 kids. How on earth does he pull that off? What does life without our friend look like? The following is our conversation.
You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right, man. So let's get into it, no? What do you think?
After you, sir.
I mean, it's early. It's late enough in the morning, no? Has it even 6 o'clock yet? 5:57. Okay.
It's not your hours regular?
I have 3 small kids.
Okay, so you have no hours.
6, 4, and a 1-year-old. And the 1-year-old, I don't know. He just wakes up screaming. Like, get me out of here, you know. And my wife and I just run to their room because the 3 boys sleep together in the same room.
Yeah.
So for the sake of the other kids' sleep, we run out there. So check this out. Look, I can.
Yeah.
There you are. So listen, Meron, thank you for doing this. And you know, we're here to talk about what life is like without a smartphone. And you know, it dawned on me recently that I didn't know anyone that didn't own a smartphone. I mean, not only that, I didn't know anyone who didn't know someone else
Yeah.
that didn't own a smartphone. And so it got me curious, and I looked up online for some more data. And according to this website called Statista, which I think sounds pretty reliable, there are 6.6 billion smartphone users in the whole world. Now there are 8 billion people, and 2 billion of those are kids. So 2 billion kids, 6 billion adults, 6.6 billion smartphone users. And then 2 things became immediately clear to me when I saw this. Is as a father of 3 very young children, that's a lot of kids walking around with smartphones. So a very
I have 5.
you have 5 kids. I want to ask you about that later. How old are they?
The youngest is 21.
The youngest is 21. Okay. Interesting. More on that later. So anyway, I have several uncomfortable conversations coming my way soon, I think. And then the other thing that became clear to me was, of course, I don't know anyone that doesn't own a 6.6 billion of us walking around with these
Yeah,
things.
and the 600 million missing, they're all in Africa. Some poor guys in Africa.
But actually, it turned out to be, part of that was not true. Is that you and I happen to live in a country with a pretty decently sized population that doesn't own smartphones, right? The ultra Orthodox Jewish community, or the Haredim, as they're called in Israel, and the reasons they do that is, essentially, broadly speaking, is that they view this as a distraction from their worship of God, right?
Yeah, although most of them already have.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
they have 2 phones. They have one. My partner is Orthodox, so I can, so I know the game.
Okay.
You have one phone number, which is a kosher number.
Right.
Which this one is you give to the rabbi of your kids. Wherever in school, wherever you want that they look at you as a kosher person.
Okay.
And the other one, it's the smartphone which you use, for business, for everything. So you have most people have now
Got
2
it.
phones,
Okay.
and only one of them is.
So it's a myth. It's a myth.
Yeah.
The Orthodox side.
It
on the
was-
sly, they've got it as well.
yeah. Internet is coming there. Has nothing to do.
Interesting. Well, anyway, so the way you and I got connected was because of someone within that community who knew you, and he has a smartphone, and he connected us both. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make is I'm really interested and I'm very excited for this conversation for 2 reasons. The first is I'm looking for myself to find ways to understand first of all, understand my relationship better with this device, and also to think of ways that will help me use it less, because I do think I use it too much. And the second reason is I think this will be, in some ways, a conversation between almost 2 different species at this point, right? I mean, I'm not crazy, not biologically, but psychologically, one can make a pretty strong case that you and the 6.6 billion of us are living rather distinct lives carrying this thing around.
Yeah.
So anyway, but before we get into all that, I mean, tell me about who you are. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do? How old are you?
My name is Meron, as you said.
Meron what?
Eren.
Eren, cool.
And I'm 59. As I said before, I have 5 kids. All of them have smartphone, and they know how to use it very well.
They all have smartphones.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they live here in Israel,
Okay.
not in Africa. I live in a farm in the south of Israel, and I work in Jerusalem, where I have I'm co-owner of an auction house.
What kind of auction house?
Dealing with antiques books and manuscripts, Judaica, only Judaica, and things related to Eretz Israel, like geography, history.
The state of Israel.
No, also when I say Eretz Israel, I mean before the state of Israel.
Oh,
like
okay, okay. So what kind of items?
It goes between rabbinical letters and religious books, like early prints, to books about the Holy Land, travel books, early art in Israel, like Bezalel period, or culture, Israeli culture,
Okay.
Politics, autographs, everything from paper related to Israel or to Judaism.
Where do you find these books? Or these documents?
We have an auction house, so people come to us when they have it to consign and to sell it through the auction house.
Okay.
It's called Kedem.
Okay. And you run this by yourself, or?
I'm a partner, and I mean, it's a big business there. More than 20 people, so
Oh, wow.
I mean, I run it, but There are other people who run it much more than me.
And the people that work there, they all have smartphones. Or are you the only one?
Half of the workers are Orthodox, I would say ultra Orthodox.
Okay.
So not all of them have smartphone, but most of them have smartphone.
Most of them have smartphones.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're benefiting from all of us suffering away with this device. So, I guess How do you? I mean, one question that I was thinking about is how do you how do you function in a modern society, or like working with a business like this, running a business without?
Because I have the business, it's much easier for me. Like I have a secretary, and like so it's much easier for me to live without the
smartphone.
Yeah, because if you need me, you can call the office, and they will send me an email, or they will tell you what you need to know, where I am, or whatever.
You sound
Make
a bit
an
like
appointment. I don't know what
you sound
like.
a bit like I think Benjamin Netanyahu, the former prime minister. I don't think he owns a
really?
smartphone. Yeah.
So I mean,
but he's surrounded by people with that device.
I will be surprised if he doesn't have like. Wow.
I think so. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think I'd heard that somewhere. So okay, I mean, so you have other people do that for you at work.
Yeah. Most things you maybe don't remember, but you lived also before. I mean, I started my life without this. There was no smartphone, so
right.
You would, if you wanted to know the address, you open the window and you ask, "Excuse me, where is Dizengoff Street?" And someone will tell you.
Do you still do that?
Yeah, and they look at the iPhone. And
do they look at you like you're kind of crazy, or do you don't even notice?
I never noticed. Like, I mean, some people, when I say that I don't have phone, most people like kind of. I wish I could. That's the first answer. Like, I wish I could be without. How do you do it?
Right.
That's the first answer I get. It's not like except for my kids, some of them are angry about it.
You'd be surprised though. There are some people. I have this conversation with friends, and there are people who will defend the phone quite strongly. That they say, "What are you talking about? This thing's great, and look at all the good that it does." And by the way,
it is great.
We'll spend some time talking about how great it is, but I can see their point of view, right? This is why I'm stuck. I can see both sides of this of the argument.
Me too.
Just curious though, but are you in your personality? Are you more of an introvert? Do you like being around people? What?
Well, I live in a farm, so it's not very social. Social. But I'm okay. I'm not extreme.
But you like alone time.
I like being alone.
Okay. Yeah.
For sure.
I got it.
It's my best time is when I'm alone.
Yeah. I'm just, and also, do you are you a believer? Are you a religious person?
I'm not religious.
No. Okay. So that really has nothing to do with
not having fun. Nothing to do with God.
Okay.
If that's what you mean.
Yeah. No, I was just curious. Yeah. Well, just because you're in that world, so.
Yeah.
But
I'm in this world, but I'm not like really part of it.
Right. So you're an introvert. Did you grow up with technology?
I grew up before technology, like like before this technology.
In the Stone Age.
There were cars. I mean, technology.
But for example, you and I communicated over email, right? Yeah. So you have email.
I have email, but I didn't grow with email. There are emails only 15, 20 years. I don't know how long there are emails.
Right.
So I was still in the, in the period where there was no this kind of technology.
Yeah.
So I'm more used to it. For me, it's more natural than for you.
Right. I mean, I'm 37, so I vaguely, faintly remember what life was like without a cell phone in my pocket the whole time, but not very well anymore. It's just sort of warped my brain. Yeah. Do you? So okay. So you're not anti-technology, but you do have something against the smartphone, and I'm just trying to figure out like what that is precisely.
I have nothing against technology.
Right.
Nothing. Like,
Right.
I know how I prefer, or I know better about the old technology. Like, I understand how cars works, or if I need to fix something. Like, so I don't have anything against technology. I don't have anything also against the smartphone. Like, for me, I feel that the benefit it gives, they're not enough for what it's not equal from what it takes for me.
So what does it take? Let's focus on that for a second.
I would say the privacy. I mean, when I'm sitting with you eating lunch, I want to be only sitting with you eating lunch. I know it's have the off button, but you never use it. So that's the main thing. Like, I want my freedom. I don't want anyone to be after me, to know where I am. And I don't mean when I speak about my kids, not about, or my clients, not about I don't know, Facebook knowing where I am because I use. That's it. Like, from here I go to the sea. I'm going to swim. I don't want anyone on the way to ask me, to tell me to. I want, after I speak with you, I want to think about it. Then I want to swim. When time comes and 10 o'clock, I will need to do some business. Then I open. I have a laptop. Like, you can have computer with internet everywhere.
Yeah.
That's it. So
So
I see the emails.
You resent the intrusion that this thing represents.
It's too fast for me. Like, I don't want all the time to be in contact.
Yeah.
I prefer to be in contact when it's fine with me, and it will be probably in 4 hours.
So, I agree with you. Actually, in preparation for this, I did a few things. I looked at. So the iPhone has this thing called screen time, where it tells you how much time you spend looking at the phone. And the way that it does it is it tells you how much you average per day on the device. So I was at about 2.5 hours a day.
Not so bad.
That's what I also thought that. but this is what's so sneaky about this screen time thing, is that it's kind of meaningless. So 2.5 hours a day, that sounds not so bad, but you start doing the math. So 2.5 hours a day is 17.5 hours a week. 17.5 hours a week on a monthly basis is about 75 hours per month. 75 hours per month is three 24-hour periods back to back to back to back plus 3 hours, right? And then over a year, that's more than 36 days. That's 36 out of 365 is 10% of 10% of the entire year.
Yeah, but I spend this time on emails, so it's not it's not that I save time, and I appreciate only 2.5 hours, or unless you have also the computer when you don't count the
precisely. There are other screens too. It's not just that, right? I don't even want to know how much time I'm actually looking at a screen, because there's the TV, there's the computer as well. But this thing is, as you said, right? It's for us, those of us that have it, it's with us everywhere. And so, and the people that listen to this, they can do their own math and be appropriately horrified. But so when I asked myself, is that too much? And I closed my eyes and I waited for the answer. I think the answer that I got from myself was yes, right? 10% of my entire year spent on this thing. It sounds like a lot, right? That's not even, it's much more if you think about my waking hours, right? And so I started getting rid of some apps that were wasting my time. Like I had, games that I would play or something, just to pass the time, right? Empty sort of use of the cell phone, nothing really productive. And I started to leave the phone at home more. If I went out with my family, it's like, there's no one else that I really need to talk to right now.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal.
It's a sacrifice.
It is a sacrifice, but it really you feel initially this anxiety of leaving this device. What if someone needs me? What if, and then I started to think about that as well. But once I left the phone at home and I was with my family, or if I was hanging out with friends, I had forgotten that I didn't have the phone with me, and I was present, and I didn't have that. Sometimes I had this urge to take out my phone, and but if I was with people that I really loved, and time just flies by, that I feel like I'm engaged in meaningful. The time is just very meaningful to me when I'm with friends, or then I don't even remember that I have this phone. Like I have no use for it. I'm here with the people that I'm supposed to be with, and isn't that wonderful? You all, on the other hand, you have that just by yourself. Like that's interesting.
I think you have to be careful.
Okay.
Once you get used to not having it, because if you go more if you go more with this direction, life becomes more meaningful. Because if instead of in the phone, you look at the sky and you see, I don't know, a bird or the sunset, or it's again, the phone is what is taking you out of doing the norm, what used to be
Right.
the normal
Right.
things, just to say hello to someone in the street, good morning. If you're in the phone, you don't say good morning because you are there in the phone.
Yeah.
There are many little meaningful things that are growing if you don't have it.
So what exactly do you think or feel when you're walking on the street and you look up and you see a bird? And are you just looking at a bird and saying, "Oh, how nice," or is there actually something deeper that's going on?
You just, I think now when we speak about it, I didn't think about it before, but you see the world differently if you are free by yourself. You are not connected. You don't have to be like when you walk in the street and this is in your hand and it's making this little beep, so you look what WhatsApp is going to tell you now.
Yeah.
You don't see things the same as you see them if you are just think when you're a tourist and when you go somewhere in a different city in a different country and you have it also when you go, but you have it less, no, when it's when you go in another country.
Don't be so sure.
Huh?
Don't be so sure.
Yeah, I hope for you.
But go on, yeah.
So you see things differently. You are more connected to what's going around you, let's say. Yeah.
Connected in what sense?
You just see it more. You hear it more. If you don't hear what the phone is telling you, or what is playing to you, so you hear. Maybe you don't want to hear it because you're in the city and it's a lot of noise, but still you hear what people say. You hear everything looks a bit different when you are just like what you described when you are with people. Then without the phone, you are only with them.
Right.
It's a different feeling.
Right.
Without taking the hand once in a while to the pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see if I can put it in a different way, because I think about, most of what I use the phone is for communication. So maybe you have no clue what this is, but I'll go for it anyway. Like WhatsApp and text messages, but also all the social media stuff, Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, and I view all of those tools as exercises in reputational risk. So what I mean by that is, you and I are having a conversation right now, right? And I say something to you, I ask you something, you answer me, you ask me something, I answer you back. This is going very nicely, I think. I'm really interested in how it's going with you. And
I enjoy it.
Yeah. And I'm learning something along the way, and you're engaged in the questions I ask you, and I'm also sort of trying to dig a little bit deeper into the things that you're telling me. And so this creates a kind of I don't even know what you want to call it, like a closeness between you and me, right? Because we're engaged, right? We're and it's immediate, right? But you don't have as soon as you start doing the following kinds of behavior, the closeness between us, the magic that's going on right now completely disappears, right? So you can't I can't ask you a question. You can't look at me and pretend as if you didn't hear the question and then 1 hour later respond, right? Or you can't look at me, acknowledge that you heard the question, and then say only an hour later, then you answer me, right? Or you can't. But none of like if you did that to me, I would think you're a crazy person, right? But in the virtual world, right? In the WhatsApps and you can do that, and and then then the whole sort of anxiety game begins, right? Because I'm still used to this, right? The sort of back and forth, immediate. But in the digital world, when people start doing these things, well, like you assume, because again, these technologies have completely obliterated time and distance, right? I can send a message to my mother who lives in Costa Rica, and she'll get it instantly. So it's essentially the same, right? It's as if I'm in the same room with her. And of course, she's walking around with this thing all the time, right? So if she's not answering me, then why? I mean, I know she's got the phone on her at all times, right? Even in the bathroom, for heaven's sake. And so she's not answering me right at the moment that I asked her. And well, why not? I mean, what? And then in your mind starts going, oh, what, does she not, is she mad at me? Is she this? And so that kind of breeds this sort of narcissistic anxiety that you don't have when you're just out there, looking at the streets or looking at the birds or God knows what. And that's what I mean by reputational risk. Like you assume a personality online, how you deal with all this communication, every single interaction that you have, right? So I send you a message, I send a message to my sister, to my father, to my brother, to my whatever, right? To my wife, my friends, co-workers, and so on and so forth. And so you have, 10 of these files open, 100, 1,000. I mean, it can drive you absolutely nuts because you're just constantly worried. Who haven't I answered? Do I want to answer them? What's the mess? What are they thinking? And then vice versa, right? Why haven't they answered me? And you're just consumed by all of this, this sort of psychological game that's going on. And the analogy that I like to appeal to is that of celebrities, right? It's no surprise that people who have to do these relationships with millions of people simultaneously. They
need cocaine.
Yeah, they go absolutely out of their minds, right? Because who can handle such a load, right? And I think, I'm not saying that I'm a celebrity in any way, of course, but it does. I do feel that it becomes too much. And for why, we don't need to answer each other over the most silly, mundane things, right? Some things do need to be urgently answered, but other things not, But we haven't figured out exactly how to have a healthy relationship with all these communication tools, because again, if it's face-to-face, then it's completely normal to answer someone immediately, right? Again, otherwise it would be really, really weird. But with these digital tools, like sometimes we just need a break, put the damn phone down and, I'll answer you later. Right now I'm with my kids or my family and I don't need to answer you right now. And it's okay, right? And that goes for me too. I also need to chill out with this stuff, which is sort of the reason why I want to use it less and not feel anxious when I'm not using it. But now I'll just contradict myself completely, which is really fun to do. But I made a partial list of like why these things are so great. And I mean, I mentioned my mother who lives in Costa Rica. I can talk to her, and she can talk to my kids. She can have a relationship with her grandkids. It's not an option if you don't have these devices. and that's cool. Like that, and also for my in-laws, and they live half a world away, for example. So it's a camera, right? I can, take pictures of my kids doing the funniest things, and I'll have that memory with me forever. I won't forget it anyway. It's a wallet. I get discounts. The e-scooter on the way here I took this morning was only available to me because of the cell phone. Maps, traffic. I don't know how the hell you do it when you drive. You just go blind.
No, I look before the map. Like at Google, I look at the map. I know where it is, and then I drive.
Okay. Do you not drive when there's traffic?
Hmm?
Do you not drive when there's a lot of traffic?
I do, but I prefer to drive early mornings when I come to Tel Aviv. Not because of just because I hate to be in the traffic. I prefer to sit in a coffee for an hour, wait for the first appointment, and not sit half an hour by the traffic. Nothing to do with it's not about navigating. It's about sitting in the car in the traffic.
Right. But you yeah, and here's a huge one, right? I mean, apropos of this conversation, I can listen to music and podcasts when I exercise, or if I'm, just going for a stroll, right? And there's so many things there's so much good stuff out there that I can learn and listen to.
There are many benefits. I can make you a longer list.
Go ahead.
Like for me, the only thing where I feel like if I had it, it's taking the bike in Jerusalem,
Okay.
those
Like those public bikes.
the public's bike. You cannot. Before I had in Tel Aviv, I had this this little unit
Yeah.
that you put it
Yeah.
and it works.
Yeah.
But no more. Now it's only
Only
you
from
must
Tel-
you must have a smartphone to use, which that's the place where I feel it. Like
Okay.
I would like to, and I don't have
Also,
the possibility.
so all the things that I just listened to you was completely
Yeah, I mean wallet.
not interesting.
I have wallet, the old wallet in my pocket with cash. you
Yeah,
know. It
yeah.
works still, less and less. I mean, when I first time, now it's you see it more and more. In New York, there are places you cannot pay any more cash for a coffee.
Yeah.
If you don't have, don't buy.
Mm.
Or credit card for $3.
Yeah.
But so wallet, it's not a big deal to have wallet in the pocket.
Okay.
There's no doubt that life is more comfortable. It's easier with this technology.
Yeah.
And of course, like I don't know what to do to write a check while you do tick 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 and you pass the money.
Mm.
But it's a balance. It's a question between the benefits, and there are many benefits. You have to have a very good camera in the pocket. It's really nice, and to speak free with your mother in the other side of the world, it's very nice.
Yeah.
But for some, I'm sure for many people, it's the best thing that they ever had. Like it's organized the life, it changed the life, it's made life easier, better. But it's a question of balance. For me, the benefits are not enough for what it takes for me.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, I don't know if there will be no way to fly it without. So maybe I will have one because like I didn't have credit card for many years. But then you couldn't rent a car without a credit card.
You didn't have a credit card?
When I was younger,
Oh wow.
So, but
What's
and I
wrong
was
with the credit card?
Huh?
What was wrong with the credit card?
you know that with credit card you give between 1% and 2%
Oh, okay.
to the credit card company.
Mhm.
Instead that it will go to the guy who sell you the falafel, it's going to I don't know where, who is the owner of Isracard or
Right.
whatever,
Right. Okay.
It's going to the wrong place. Let's put it this way. I prefer it to be
Got it.
the guy from the supermarket will have this 2%.
Okay.
And as the owner of a business, I pay those 2%,
Right.
which is even worse. So
Wait, in an auction house, you take credit cards?
yeah, of course.
Interesting.
Yeah, why not?
I would have thought that the amounts were so large.
some people can pay a lot of money with credit card. It's not you and me. They have no limits. There's another color of the credit card, and then there are no limits.
Okay.
So when I needed to rent a car, and there was no way to rent a car, even if you give them cash or check in the value of the car, they won't rent you a car. So I made a credit card. I was living out of Israel. When I come to here, I wanted to rent a car. There was no other way. So okay. So maybe one day, if you cannot eat without having it, I prefer to eat. But at the moment, it doesn't worth it for me.
Yeah. Do you you mentioned that your kids, all 5 of them, have smartphones, right?
Yeah, of course. Some of them, one of my kids work in a startup. And the other one is own a startup. So they need to have.
And do you notice some of the same behaviors that I mentioned to you in them? Do you see them that they're constantly on their phones and?
Yeah, of course. They're normal kids. People, they got it a little bit later, so they had, because we started, like, they got the phones, I don't know, when they were 14 only they got a smartphone or something like this. So they had a few years of childhood without.
You said your youngest is 21, right?
Yeah, it's already 22 actually.
22. And your oldest is
30. Yeah.
30.
Yeah, we did it chick-chack.
Got it.
5 in 10 years. 31 will be.
Okay, so 31, and cell phones are around for, let's say, something like 13 years or so. The smartphones, excuse me. So your oldest was more or less at the end of his teenage years, and the youngest was about 9.
Yeah.
Okay. So some of them do remember life before smartphones.
And they got it a bit later than other.
Did you as a parent, did you have to have those conversations that other kids were getting the smartphones and?
Yep. Yeah.
Tell me what that was. I as someone who has no self-interest in this at all.
It was different because it was not so popular, and also I could mention other kids who doesn't have, so it was not as bad. But yeah, my daughter, when she was 14, and she was in a boarding school, so she just said, "I'm not going to use anymore the public phone. Like, or you give me a phone, or you don't speak with me."
Wow!
Like, it was because she was the only one in the class, and so that was the point that we said, "Okay, if you are the only one in the class, go and buy one."
Interesting. Did you try to reason with her and say you don't need this or?
No, at that point she needed it because everyone needed it. Everyone had it.
Yeah.
So she needed to be. You're in school. You're 14. Right. You want to be like everyone.
Right. Right. But I don't know if you're aware, but there are all these studies that show, increased rates of. It's not precisely to do with the smartphone, but I'm sure the smartphone doesn't help. But increased rates of anxiety and depression among teenagers, specifically teenage girls.
Yeah.
You didn't know back then that any of this stuff was going on, but did you notice any kind of, tricky behavior with the smartphones then, or?
No, not really. But I know only my 5 particular kids, and they were quite responsible about how to use it.
Okay. So you you have no practical tips. Just to say it's coming.
I'm too old. You have to find someone.
No. As a parent, I went through.
Yeah,
this,
but as a parent, it was the very beginning. It was not so.
Mm-hmm. But even then, you said your daughter said I'm the only one without it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then she has to get one.
She was 14. It's easier to.
Yeah.
She had good reasons, and altogether it made sense.
So. Does it bother you though that your kids have this stuff?
No. I know that I'm not like I'm the unnormal, not they do what everybody do, and for the purpose. There's no way to do what they want to do without the phone. Like my daughter is studying, like she's doing chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is between computer and phone. Like she have to have communication with her professor, and I don't know, she need everything is there. Like if she won't have a WhatsApp, she will be completely out of the research group. I mean, there's no way.
Right. Yeah, like for example, like in daycare, all the updates, it's all WhatsApp for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's she worked there. I mean, without the communication with the other research group, she cannot work.
Yeah.
They work as a group.
Okay.
So I understand. And there's most people must have it in one way or another for what they're doing. You know, like work, study. Even my son in the army. There's no way he would make one step without WhatsApp. You know, because all the communication within is there.
Yeah. So how exactly, for example, like how does people? You said you live in the Negev, in the south, or in the desert. So if you travel to the central part of Israel, right? So it's about an hour and a half drive, more or less.
Yeah, depends on the traffic.
Do you take the train? Do you?
No, I used to take the train, but I usually drive because I'm the one who getting consignments for the auction house.
Okay.
Like I can go somewhere here to look in a library, and then I will choose 2 books for the auction. So in the train, it's a bit complicated to go with a box of books.
Okay. And what do you do on that drive? You just listen to the radio?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing. I just look around and...
Wow.
I think, you know, the mind is keeping going also, you know, when you drive.
It's funny. Do you ever go to parties and look at? I know you like to be alone, but you know you must go to parties every once in a while, and then see people. What's that?
Must go to a party. I'm in the stage, you know, that I don't have to go to parties, and I almost don't go to parties.
Well, whatever, social gatherings of some sort, and then you see people standing by themselves and they're pulling out their phones. Do you recognize that? I mean, as someone who likes to be alone, you know, and you have all these awkward conversations, and
you know, I recognize as you recognize it. You see it everywhere.
I do it myself, right?
Yeah, but you still recognize it. You see it also in a party when you go, and I mean, it's our world now. I mean, there's no way to escape it, and it's not my way of doing things, but I understand it. You know.
Yeah.
Other people have other things.
Instead of suffering through those moments, you just don't go to the parties.
I'm not suffering. Also,
no.
If there's a good wine there, I'm okay. I don't have a problem with it. Like I know. Sometimes I'm sorry for them. I mean, you're in a party or you're in the train and you see the sea outside and you're there instead, you know, looking at Facebook what someone wrote, and while you have the sea there.
Right.
I feel a bit of pity for them, but on the other hand, maybe it's just, you know, managing the world and doing the most important WhatsApp that he must do, and that's his business or whatever.
I have to say that even when I stop to think about the stuff that I consume on the phone. For example, the other day I got a headline notification on my phone that Vince McMahon, you know who that is? There's a good reason why you don't know. I mean, so Vince McMahon is I think he's the founder of this very popular wrestling league in the United States, and it turns out that he had settled some sexual harassment, I think, cases with, I think it was 4 women. And you got
another one.
No, I think it came out in one big package that, you know, in the past he had settled, I think it was like $12 million. Don't quote me on the number. And then I was thinking, you know, he's an important figure in American culture, but also, why do I care about, like, this bit has no impact on my life or on the lives of hardly anyone in America, right? I mean, the wrestling league still goes on as it always does, and it's between him, those women, his family, maybe some friends, but. And I was just like, why does this need to be so like immediately urgent in my face? Do I need to read this right now?
Business news is a big business.
And yeah, so even the stuff that seems important is not right.
I guess most of the news, if you look, at the page of the news, if you didn't read 95% of it, nothing would change.
Right. Are you a big consumer of news?
I don't know what big is there.
All right.
It's relative, but
yeah.
I do look at the computer, the news, 2 newspapers. I mean, I'm not a big consumer, but I know what's going on.
What grabs your interest?
Just, I don't know, to know what's going around.
But
wars in the world, a little bit of the politics, although it doesn't make any difference. It really doesn't make any difference if you look or don't look. Just like this, a little bit of everything, just to be updated, basic.
But you vote, right? You vote in elections.
Yeah.
Okay. And no, this is serious.
Yeah,
right?
but to vote in Israel, it's a big problem. I mean, they're more or less all of them the same.
Mm-hmm.
And, when they used to be the Alei Yarok, they legalized marijuana.
Okay.
I used to vote for them just as kind of, at least there I know I do something useful. They never went, they never made it.
Okay.
Now, yeah, I vote, but I don't feel when I vote, I don't feel like, yeah, that's the right person, there's no one I really trust.
Got it.
Unfortunately.
Right. Okay. So, look, all of your kids, they're part of the 6.6 billion. Do you worry about humanity? Do you worry about the world that your kids are gonna live in?
Yeah, like as I see it, the smartphone is part of evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a man-made evolution, different from what was for millions of years, which more like nature. Nature made the evolution.
Okay.
But the last 10,000 years, it's mostly like the men, the human beings are controlling let's say, our planet.
Mm-hmm.
And this is part of the evolution. And yeah, of course I'm worried. It's going the wrong direction. There's no doubt. It's in many aspects. And one of them, like I think the research.
But I would just say, in defense of human ingenuity and progress, we can't also forget that nature was quite good at killing us in the most excruciating ways for many years.
Yeah, I know the benefits. Like
No.
I know the benefits from medicine.
No, I'm trying to shit on nature for a second here.
I understand, and I'm saying about this that I know the benefit. Like now we live 80 years. We used to live 40 years.
Right.
Every little thing, that I know there are many benefits in technology.
Yeah.
Like in what men did.
Yeah.
There are less.
So what do you mean by going in the wrong direction? But what are you afraid of? What do you worry about?
Look, what you cannot even imagine what will be the problems coming from it, because it's much faster. The development of, as you say, it's only 10 years. What Facebook it was 10, 15 years. It's nothing in question of research of learning.
Yeah.
The development are much faster than what the academic can do research and understand.
Right.
It's by the time they will understand the goods and the bads that I don't know that Twitter did, there will be much stronger Twitter or the next generation or whatever. So it's hard to know psychologically, like our as person and sociologically as society, the different. It's clear that it make big difference. You know? As you say, you can speak. The kids can speak with their grandmother in the other side of the world. They couldn't do it. See her. They couldn't do it 10 years ago. It's have an impact. It's do something, whether it's good or bad. It's still very difficult to know. We see already, as you know. That's why you are worried about your kids. You know, when and what to give them, because it's clear that, I don't know, pornography, which is now, you can have porno when you're 10 years old. The way they look about boys and girls, sex, whatever, it's not the innocent thing that we had when I was 14. You know, so, and this is just one direction, which it's clearly changed the world of who is using it, and there are a million other things. You know, so I don't know to say. I mean, I'm not a prophet. Whether the goods or the bads, like who will be stronger, and whether the people who develop the technology will start to take more care of what they're doing, or only it will be keep going, only money. So, which sometimes bring also the bad things because they make money.
Right.
I don't know.
Or they overlook some of the negative consequences of what they're doing because it's profitable and
yeah. I mean,
actually, I hadn't even thought about pornography, and I mean, again, I have 3 young boys.
You don't want to think about it because it's. Think that when they are 10 years old, if they have it now, they have it when they are 6 years old. They can see everything, and I mean, okay, you can think that you can control it in a way.
Right.
When they're 8, they already know how to cheat you because and to see what they want. And if they don't see in their own phone because you can control it a little bit, they have someone in class who the parents does not control, so you can see everything. And so they have a particular view of what is sex. If you're speaking about porno,
right,
very particular, and all the porno is made by men. So it's men. I mean, it's not women.
No, right.
So it's give very particular view about the whole issue.
Right.
And I'm not sure it's the best view. Let's put it this way.
Yeah, and you think it's problematic also because with these things around all the time, and it's so easy, and so you can access this stuff within seconds.
Yeah.
Then why put in the effort in the real thing, getting to know the real thing, and
that's one point as well. But also what it teaches you. Then how you may treat a girl as you saw in this movie, or if you leave sex violent. You know, if you play all the time in a very violent atmosphere, you may, I don't know. That's a research, but probably. You may become more violent also when you go into the real world for a visit.
Right. But you mean relations between the sexes or just in general?
No, in general. Violent in general. It's you should easily.
Man, this is not the way I wanted to start my morning.
I mean, that's the bad part. But as we said, this also, it can save your life. You know, it's when you need a doctor, when you need a doctor, and you get a heart attack. If you have this, you have a better chance to survive.
Do you remember when you were a kid? And I feel like every generation does have these dangerous technologies that parents don't want their kids to use. But I guess when I was a kid, maybe it was TV, right? Not watching enough TV, and TV shows got more and more violent and stuff. But I haven't killed anyone just yet, so. I came out okay. Do you ever think that there's a way that we'll adapt to this, or this is just too powerful for our brains to handle?
What technologies that when I was a kid was dangerous.
Sure.
My mother didn't want us to have a motorcycle. That was the dangerous technology. Like when I was a child, I'm a bit older than you.
Yeah.
It was the very early days of the TV in Israel. Only one channel, only
Right.
2 hours for kids. So this was not.
Right.
It was not a big deal.
Okay.
It was more about engines.
So I'm trying to find a way to to land this plane on a positive note, but it's been pretty depressing.
Sorry.
You're not sorry. Okay, so what would you say to people like myself, right? And hopefully there's more in the pool of 6.6 billion of us that want to use the phone less or even want to give it up altogether. I mean, what would you say?
I recommend.
No, but
I don't say to other people. I mean, if you need it, use it
yeah.
For what you need it.
No, but in a way that this thing just doesn't completely take over your life. You know, I'll give you an example. Like my wife, okay? I think she uses it more than 4 hours a day. More. She's on much more than I am. And I remember this. Some things just leave in a deep memory in your mind. A few years ago, her WhatsApp was deleted or it stopped working, and this reduced what otherwise is a sort of highly functioning adult into just a puddle of tears. She just, it was literally, I haven't seen her behave when a loved one dies, but it felt like as if she had just lost someone she really, really loved. Like all her conversations with God knows who and all pictures that were stored on this device, and she just in the entire day until finally it was restored and she was back to normal. Like she had regained her composure, but she was just deeply just really distraught by this thing. Now, on the one hand I get it, but on the other hand, I thought, okay, maybe this is a little bit too much, right? I mean, your whole life isn't stored on one app. Doesn't strike me as healthy. Again, being fully sensitive to all that stuff, but so yeah, I guess my question is how what would you say to someone like that? It's like, you don't need to feel this way about, you don't have to feel in relation to your phone in such a way that if something happens to it, then you're just lost, right? You fall to pieces.
What you described, it sounds like addiction. More than losing someone you love. It's more like it's become something you cannot live without.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, like every addiction, it's a problem. And I don't say to other people what to do. I can recommend.
Yeah. So what do you recommend?
To try without. Just one day.
Just start one day.
Yeah, just to know what it means to you.
Yeah.
And how much you need it, and maybe.
Yeah.
You get some insights.
Yeah. I mean, for me, what helped so far, I mean, I'm not saying that, I've gone from 2.5 hours to 0. I've gone from 2.5 hours to 2 hours, which, doesn't sound like a lot, but again, that half hour multiplied over the entire year, that's quite a lot. By the way, I've met people that average something like 11 hours a day on their phone. So
I think many people have I see my kids. I'm sure they're 5, 6, 7, 8 hours.
wow.
Because you do so many things in it.
Okay.
As you know, it's already by now. It's a phone and it's a camera, but it's also a computer.
Yeah.
You have everything there. So
Yeah.
depends what hours you count. It's different if you spend hours, I don't know, in Facebook, or if you spend hours there in whatever, in Excel. Yeah. Like some people, they work there, they live there, they do shopping there,
Right.
it's everything. So it's,
Right.
of course, much more than 2 hours. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. And, but anyway, I mean, what has helped me a little bit is, I was telling you before about how all these communication tools, that they kind of warp your mind, right? That you think that everything is the most urgent thing, and it's really not. And I think that, those days where I leave the phone at home and I come back to it, and of course the first thing I do when I get home is I check my phone. Who wants my attention, right? And there's just, there's stuff there that, messages that I should answer and things. And I realized that life actually just, it goes on, right? Think, there's some messages that are just waiting for me, and it's okay, right? It's fine. Those same people continue to message me. They're not mad at me afterwards that I took a few hours longer to respond. It's okay that I put the phone down and I spent those hours with my kids or with friends. I mean, part of it I think is those moments where we've got absolutely nothing to do and nothing to think about are really, really scary. And so you need to fill the void. What I mean by really scary is, when was the last time you were really bored?
I don't know. I'm not bored.
Okay, that's a super skill. How the hell are you never bored?
I don't know. I look around. I read a book. I don't know. I open the computer and read something. I mean,
Interesting. So you're always you wow. Okay. So, and you don't have a cell phone. That's the impressive part. But I think that those moments of emptiness, right? What generally tends to fill the void is like, what am I doing now? And I think at the bottom of that, the root of that is like this terror of we're gonna die, right? And we want some kind of distraction from this, this eventuality, right? And so, I mean, that's I notice this, that when I spend time with my friends, it's just, silly talk and laughing and, but it just, the time flies by, right? And thank God for that, right? But it's just a distraction from the ultimate finale here for all of us, right? And if we didn't have all these lovely things to think about and these meaningful things that we do with our lives, what else is there, right? And
this is kind of philosophy for advanced philosophy. Like, I think that most people, like what you said before, that if you are out for a few hours and then you go back to the phone and they see that. I think most people, also if you will be angry about you, that you didn't answer immediately, if you will tell them that you took a few hours with your kids, nobody will say, come on, I mean, you have to answer me, it cannot be.
Well, I think even someone like myself, right? There's almost no emergency, no social requirement that people can tell me that's the reason for why they took so long, that I don't, in that waiting period, right, I actually don't feel anxious and like, oh my God, are they mad at me, or that I have that kind of anxiety of, well, what did I do and why aren't they answering me, and do they really just not want to talk to me? All that's going on through my mind. I could seriously be the problem here, and all the other people are doing fine. I doubt it, but
But maybe you should appreciate that he's going without a phone for a few hours just because he's walking with his dog and he wants to see his dog and to see the
Right.
waves of the sea. You know?
Right. Right.
If you look at this way,
Mm-hmm.
then everything is more simple. You know,
Right.
It's not that he don't want to answer you.
Yeah.
He just want to be for some time with his kids or with his girlfriend or in nature or to eat. You know,
Yeah.
slowly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No. I completely agree with you. That's what I mean by this kind of strange behavior that we have. Like myself, my wife, it very quickly overtakes your ability to think beyond the negative of why hasn't, again, because we're so wired to expect immediate feedback when we're talking to someone, right?
Yeah.
But and again, these things, they deliver instant communication to people anywhere in the world, right? So it feels like as if you're face to face with someone, but you're not, right? You're in someone's pocket, not looking them in the eye, and you also, with the text, you cannot tell if they're trying to be funny or if they're angry. I mean, you can guess, right? And there are images that can help you. Like for example, with the email correspondence that you and I had no idea if you were looking forward to this, if you weren't looking. It just sort of. I was really excited, but maybe you weren't, right? But I mean, here you are. So
Yeah, I'm quite excited. So was nothing wrong that there was no
right.
emojis there.
Right. So yeah, I mean, here we are leaving this on a very depressing and I'm searching for optimism here, but no, I think what you said is good. It's this understanding that life goes on, right? And it's okay.
Yeah, it's
It's
really evolution. Like I'm sure there were people I know, like when they invented the printing, like the making the print 1450 something Gutenberg.
Mm-hmm.
There were many people against it, against the book, the printed book, because they say the manuscript is better, is going only to the people you want it to be. It's not the information is not for everybody. So I think it's somehow the same here. There are many advances. There are many good things. Like if you have whatever, if you are sick and you have a particular problem, you can find a community all around the world who have the same problem and can give you all kind of advices that you have no way to get without it. Yeah. A lot of information that you can use. There are many good things in it, and it's evolution. So we'll see which direction it takes. And I guess that it also depends on you what you take out of it. Because there's so much in it. I mean, you can buy guns and heroin, or you can learn.
Yeah.
In free university.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. That's what I meant by listening to podcasts. Like there's so much good stuff out there, useful stuff, really wonderful stuff that people are putting out there, and you can listen to it whenever you want, and you don't have to listen to it all at the same time. You can if you might find this unhealthy, but if you're washing the dishes, you can listen to someone explain something really wonderful about the economy or about I don't know, theology or whatever the hell you're interested in, history, but yeah, it's I worry about myself and it's just for others about how, especially for my kids, how the hold that it has over us, and I don't know, I get the feeling that you're just going to continue your walks along the beach just laughing at us.
Yeah, I'm going to think about it. I mean, it's a lot of material to think about.
Well, you see, now I've given you stuff to think about.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add? That stuff that we didn't talk about?
No. I didn't prepare, you know. I
no,
just
no, no.
came. I just came to
Yeah,
to
no,
see,
no.
to listen.
Yeah, I think what I said at the beginning is that this this is a conversation almost between two different species. I kind of got a feeling I was right there. I mean, you're gonna go and walk on the beach and think about God knows what, and
And you will make WhatsApp about the podcast.
All right. Meron, thank you for your time. I have to say also just a big shout out to Google, the Google campus here that they let us use. It's amazing.
Amazing place,
Right?
Really amazing. I mean, just perfect technology. I told you before. I've been in all kind of interviews in television and radio. They made here.
Amazing.
Really amazing
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. And it's free, right?
Yeah.
So
It's even more amazing.
wow, right? It's a gift. It's really a gift. Just to think about all the labor that went into this place, and yet you and I can have this conversation, and who knows who'll listen to this, and who knows who might get some benefit out of this, and maybe they can change the way they behave or the way they think of things in life. So again, Google, my dear overlords, thank you so much. Meron, thanks for having that.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming here.
I had fun. Thank you.
Cool.
I wrote the intro to this episode while in a garden of a home in a suburb of Amsterdam. It is a modest space, cramped even more by the lack of distance between the neighbors. The sun was setting. My kids were already asleep. My wife was resting in bed. It was quiet. I was staring at a wall of bricks and walking towards my laptop. What was I going to write? And how were you going to receive it? And I realized right then that I was deeply happy. There was no party, no fireworks, no fanfare. Just me, basking in my luck to be young and healthy, saturated with love, and able to contemplate the idea of a planet rotating around a star that will one day implode and destroy it all. I then thought, isn't this the whole point? To know that my wife and kids are peacefully sleeping after a day full of fun activities they'll remember forever. To know it in the moment. This is why I hug my wife a little more tightly these days. It is why I tell my kids how much I love them as often as I can. Life is but a search for answers we'll never get. It is an absurd quest, hopeless. But man, we have some amazing ways to guess what those answers are. There's comedy, music, dance, conversation. Think about the seminal moments of your life, the ones where you can point to as a departure from the lesser person, the dumber person you once were. Weren't most of them generated by conversation? Shouldn't life be full of as many deep and honest conversations as we can possibly manage? There will come a day to say goodbye, to say that we really tried to make it count. And that's literally what the approach of death is. To look back and count, moment by moment, how much time you spent in awe and in wonder and in love with the gift that will forever be no longer yours. Sometimes I think I'm going out of my mind, but then I remember that that can't be, because I am no one. I am someone. And that someone is you. I mean, where are you right now? At the gym? Driving in the car? Walking to work? Washing the dishes? In the bathroom? Why do we do this? It doesn't matter what kind of podcast you listen to. Notice that it's just me and you at this very moment. And you and I are going to go through something together. Hopefully something that changes us for the better. Thanks for listening. Take care.